So the Chiefs took down the Buffalo Bills again in the playoffs, knocking off arguably the best remaining team in the league and once again proving the three-peat is most likely inevitable. But before we look too far ahead, this AFC Championship game featured an action-packed 4 quarters with tons of highlights and takeaways that are worth diving into. So let's talk about it. But first, how about those? What a game this was. The AFC Championship game, no doubt about it. Chiefs W. Okay, I was nervous the entire time. There's a lot to take away and get into regarding this epic game between the Buffalo Bills and the Kansas City Chiefs, so let's just dive right into it. The Chiefs actually won the toss and opted to defer, so the Bills started out with the ball, and they started out pretty rocky. Allen nearly threw 2 interceptions before going 3 and out. Mike Dano was heating up early on that 3rd down, and the Chiefs offense started out on fire. RPOs were the name of the game on this opening drive, with Hollywood Brown catching back-to-back passes before Worthy, and then Juju Smith-Schuster also snagged one. Juju's catch and run, by the way, went 31 yards to bring KC near the red zone, and Kareem Hunt then had 3 straight runs plowing his way in for the opening score. Absolutely electric stuff. Buffalo did respond, though, as Allen hit Shakir on a shallow crosser on 3rd and 3. A tush push moved the chains again on 3rd and 1, but thankfully Allen dropped the snap shortly after that, and it created a deficit too great for them to overcome, and Tyler Bass ended up drilling a 53-yard field goal. 3-7, Chiefs up by 4. KC started moving again as Mahomes used his legs on a 12-yard scramble, and then on this handoff left side to Worthy, cornerback Christian Benford got friendly fired by his own teammate, suffered a concussion, and had to leave the game. And the scary part about that was actually his 2nd concussion in 7 days. He got concussed against Baltimore in the divisional round and was able to just clear concussion protocol somehow for this game. And he got hit again. It was not a pretty sight either, as he was woozily carted off. They had to buckle him in so he wouldn't fall out of the cart. And it's worth noting that because that left Buffalo's secondary even more thin. Safety Taylor Rapp was already out, plus now Benford at this point, and that meant Kaiir Elam was the next man up, and KC took advantage of that throughout this game. Something Buffalo took advantage of on this same drive, though, was a mishandled fumble between Patrick Mahomes and Isaiah Pacheco. I don't know if Mahomes thought Pacheco was going to carry it or vice versa, but that led to a fumble, and the Bills ended up jumping on it, recovering it, and turning that into a 10-play drive that went 72 yards. James Cook started cooking. Cooper helped convert a 3rd and 9, and Shakir took advantage of the middle of the field, a weakness for the Chiefs defense time and time again, for 24 yards on 3rd and 13 to set up 1st and goal. James Cook then made an incredible play bouncing outside and somehow getting into the end zone to put the Bills up 10-7. KC struggled on that next drive, getting stonewalled on back-to-back plays, but went for it in their own territory, with Mahomes rolling out right on 4th and 1, keeping it himself and running for 6 yards. He used his legs in key situations all throughout this night, and that is one of the big contributors to help with this Chiefs W. Anyway, that helped D-Hop catch his only pass of the night, then Worthy caught fire the rest of the drive, catching a few passes, including this one for a diving touchdown to help bring the Chiefs back on top. Xavier Worthy on Damar Hamlin is a pretty big mismatch, not gonna lie. And that's why we got the X Factor shirt out for this one in honor of Worthy having an incredible game. The link to this is in the description down below. Shameless plug. Anyway, the Bills went 3 and out after 3 straight incompletions, and Nico Remigio then had an incredible punt return, making several miss, switching sides of the field, and flying down the left sideline. That helped set up this crazy catch by Xavier Worthy up the right sideline on 3rd and 5. He fought for possession along with rookie safety Cole Bishop, with Buffalo challenging that and losing. The ball did touch the ground a bit as these guys fell to the ground, but it did not move. Possession was initially given to Worthy, and that challenge was upheld, and that helped set up this Mahomes scramble for a touchdown. Damar Hamlin drove him to the ground. Travis Kelce then let Hamlin know what's good, and that eventually led to an unnecessary roughness penalty on Jordan Phillips. The masses melted down about this, by the way, but it literally moved the Chiefs up for a closer extra point attempt, and that was all. With that, though, KC found themselves up 21-10 with under 2 minutes left in the half. I still was not comfortable at that point in time. I feel like they needed to score another, keep Buffalo at 10, and I would have been a little happier. Well, the problem is the Buffalo Bills are just so damn good, and they led a perfect 2-minute drive going no huddle, and somehow, some way, Mac Hollins hauled in this 34-yard touchdown snag with Trent McDuffie draped on him in coverage. That was a perfect throw and an incredible catch. There's nothing I could really say or do here other than tip my cap to a great play. Buffalo then made the extra point, but Justin Reed got flagged for being offsides trying to jump the snap, and therefore the Bills opted to go for 2 and did not get in on the tush push. That made it a 5-point game heading into the half, but KC started with the ball, so that's great news, right? Well, not so fast. And before I get into the second half of this incredible game, I know that you know that we all know who actually ended up winning. Well, that means the Chiefs are headed back to the big game once again, and that's why I need to tell you about my special hookup from today's sponsor, SeatGeek. They gave me a special discount exclusively for the big game in New Orleans. Everyone can use my code HBTC250 and get $250 off Super Bowl tickets. SeatGeek is not only the season-long partner of the channel, but they make the process easy for you, rating tickets on a scale of 1 to 10. So just look for the green dots. Green means good. Red means bad. So, what are you waiting for? If you're trying to get out to the big game, take out your phone, open the SeatGeek app up, and add code HBTC250 to your account. All right, to start out the second half of this game, KC had the ball, started moving, converting a third down, but Mahomes took an unfortunate sack on 3rd and 11, and that actually put them out of field goal range, and Ariza had to punt and couldn't pin them deep. It was a touchback. The Bills then switched gears and ran the ball nearly on repeat on this drive. Cook had a 33-yard run. Allen converted a 4th and 1 with his legs. And then eventually James Cook made this incredible dive on 4th and goal, fighting through a big hit and fully extending his arm to get across the goal line. Just a special play by Cook here, if I'm going to be honest. They once again failed the 2-point conversion, though, and it remained a 1-point game, but the Bills were on top with 3 minutes left in the third. Unfortunately, the Chiefs then went 3 and out, giving the ball right back to Buffalo and giving the defense no time to rest. Allen leaped over the line on 4th and 1 to move the chains. He did fumble, but ended up recovering. But on the next 4th and 1, Allen tried another tush push and was not only marked short, but replay assist confirmed that Allen was short. Now, the broadcast thought Allen got there, but without overwhelming evidence to overturn the call on the field, the call stood. And that really brought out the rigged, cry-ass crowd, but Allen's back was to the line to gain, so it was tough to truly tell, and that gave KC the ball back. Juju Smith-Schuster then had his second big catch and run of the night, with Kareem Hunt bringing KC to the 10 on back-to-back runs, and it looked like Hunt was going to get the ball again, but this time, Mahomes kept it himself, with Kelsey leading the way as a blocker, and the result was the second rushing touchdown of the day for Patrick Mahomes. He tried to spike the ball and epically failed, but unlike Buffalo, they did not fail the 2-point conversion. Mahomes stayed in the pocket, pumping, and eventually finding Justin Watson in the back of the end zone to bring the Chiefs up by 7. And before we get to the rest of the game, something I want to point out on that touchdown there was it was actually the same play call that Kareem Hunt scored on earlier in the game. Mahomes said in his post-game presser that he got the look he wanted when running this same play, had the option to pull it, and with Buffalo's defense biting for the handoff to Kareem, he pulled it and ran it in, again with Kelsey having an incredible block. And this was pretty surprising, fooled everybody, including me, because there is hardly ever a play call made that is a designed quarterback run, and it was much needed. Thank God. James Cook then fooled KC's defense for a 23-yard catch and run, and Mac Hollins made another huge play on 3rd and 8, hauling in this one, middle of the field again, for 32 yards. The defense tried to hold, but on 4th and goal, Curtis Samuel found himself wide open in the back of the end zone, and that tied the game up with around 6 minutes to go. KC then matriculated the ball down the field with Kelsey and Worthy helping them get all the way to the 10 once again to set up 1st and goal. Sadly, though, the line imploded. The interior line imploded, and Mahomes got sacked for a loss of 7 on the very next play, and they ultimately could not overcome that deficit, and Harrison Butker ended up drilling a 35-yard field goal. So yeah, good news is the Chiefs were up by 3. Bad news was there was 3.5 minutes to go in this game, and the Bills still had the 2-minute warning and all 3 timeouts, which I thought was way too much time for Josh Allen and that offense. Well, little did I know the Bills would go just 6 plays for 17 yards. Josh Allen ran for 13 of those on 2nd and 11 to create a new set of downs. But from there, incompletion, I believe it was then Minihue batted a pass down at the line, and George Karlaftis did not let Amari Cooper get more than 4 yards on 3rd and 10. Well, that set up a 4th and 5 with the game entirely on the line here. You either convert here, or it's most likely game over. Well, a couple things happened on this play worth noting that helped the Chiefs. Chris Jones lined up on the left side, so Josh Allen said he shifted the protection left, but Spags is a lunatic and was sending McDuffie on a cornerback blitz on Josh Allen's right side. So you had that blitz coming, and then Karlaftis shot out like a cannon past the right tackle as they anticipated Allen to try and scramble right to extend the play. Well, this forced Allen to throw a prayer off his back foot as George Karlaftis slammed him to the ground, and that prayer somehow reached the arms of Dalton Kincaid as he made a diving play on the ball, and he couldn't haul it in. That was a turnover on downs, an absolutely brilliant play call that fooled Allen, but Kincaid just kind of fell short and fumbled the bag on that one. So that meant all the Chiefs needed to do was get a couple first downs, and they would end up icing this game. Pacheco got the first on a quick pass from Mahomes, barreling through the defender for more yards. And then on 3rd and 9, the Bills had to force a stop if they wanted a chance. You would get the ball with just under a minute to go, no timeouts. It would have been a tough ask, but if you stop them, there's a chance. Well, a brilliant play call to set up this short pass from Mahomes to Samaje Perine was the knife, the dagger into the heart of Buffalo. He got the first down, and ultimately that gave the Chiefs the victory. I mean, what a freaking game between two teams, one that per usual went down to the wire, and at the end of the day, it is a lot of respect and credit to the Buffalo Bills, but they lost once again to Patrick Mahomes and company in the playoffs. That's now 4 straight playoff losses to the Kansas City Chiefs in the Mahomes and Allen era. There's a couple wild stats at play here too with that. First, Josh Allen has 7 playoff wins, but is still yet to win a single playoff game on the road. Those 7 wins, by the way, are the most playoff wins in NFL history without a quarterback making it to a Super Bowl. I couldn't help but feel a little bad for the guy watching him on the sideline. He just watches the Chiefs get the W again in the playoffs. I mean, it's got to be tough when it's really the Chiefs world that you're living in and you find yourself just happen to be a side character in their quest. But that's the hard truth. The Chiefs run the NFL, and it's not even close. Meanwhile, the Chiefs won their 5th AFC Championship game since 2018 and are heading to their 3rd Super Bowl in a row. No team with the chance of three-peating has ever made it this far, and there are some key players to credit for helping them win this tough battle. But first, Mahomes is now 2nd in NFL history and playoff wins with 17, passing up Joe Montana. I don't know what's crazier, Mahomes getting that many wins in this short amount of time at 29 years old, or the fact that Tom Brady still has over double the amount of playoff wins. He has 35, Mahomes has 17. That is unreal. But we are watching greatness. This is a dynasty right here before our eyes. Everybody's doing what they can to cry, whine, moan, complain about the refs, but hold this L, you pathetic little losers. Anyway, standouts from this game. For starters, Xavier Worthy, X Factor, had 100 yards from scrimmage in this game, a couple of runs for 16 yards. Then he also led the receiving room. He caught 6 passes on 7 targets for 85 yards in that diving touchdown. Juju was actually next in the room, being a surprising X Factor himself on offense as he caught just 2 passes, both of those in the middle of the field, but they went for 60 yards. Kareem Hunt on the ground had 17 carries for 64 yards. Then Patrick Mahomes, he was next. He carried the ball 11 times for 43 yards and 2 rushing touchdowns. It's pretty crazy, you know, because Mahomes had the same amount of rushing attempts as Josh Allen, but still had 4 more yards and 2 more rushing touchdowns. I don't think we would have predicted that before the game, that Mahomes would outrush Allen and outscore him on the ground. That's a definite difference maker in these crucial playoff games, Mahomes being willing to use his legs. On top of that, he was 18 of 26 for 245 yards and a passing TD. That's a combined near 300 total yards and 3 total touchdowns. You really can't ask for much more. If it wasn't for that fumble, that would have been basically a perfect game. Allen had similar stats, throwing 2 TD passes, and James Cook had an impressive 2 tutties himself on the ground, but they just weren't able to get it done. 2 failed 2-point conversions and 2 turnover on downs was ultimately their downfall, and it was still only a 3-point game. KC actually, I mentioned that fumble a second ago, but they actually lost the turnover battle, but to my pleasant surprise, they still managed to win in spite of that. Believe it or not, the Bills fumbled 4 times in this game. Yes, 4, and they recovered all 4. Josh Allen also almost threw like 3 interceptions and came away with 0 turnovers, which is insane, and some very solid turnover luck for them. Another key for KC was they were 4 for 6 in the red zone, and I fully believe had the fumble not happened early on, they would have scored a touchdown on that drive, and that would have given them 39 points by the end of the game, and I thought they needed as close to 30 points as possible to win. 32 points was just enough, but 39 would have been the absolute kill shot. Doesn't matter. Win is a win, but I don't want to hear the BS anymore. The Chiefs can't score over 30. Yes, they can, and they save it for the right time. Who cares if the Buffalo Bills or Lions have 10, whatever amount of games scoring over 30 when they're the ones in Cancun watching the Chiefs play in the Super Bowl? So yeah, that was a season high for the Chiefs. 32 points, great stuff, and they were an impressive 5 for 9 on third down and 1 for 1 on fourth. The Bills were just 5 for 14 on third down, so hats off to the Chiefs defense for that, and they went for it 6 times on fourth, converting 4 of those though. So I'm going to tip my cap to McDermott's aggressiveness, but that ultimately played a bit of a role into why they lost. On defense, Mike Dana had a near sack on Allen early and a strip sack on Allen in the second quarter. Allen did manage to recover. Again, they recovered all their fumbles, which was ludicrous. Then Turk Wharton got the other sack. George Karlaftis was all over the place as well and made crucial back-to-back plays on that final drive. McDuffie was pretty lights out, and the defense in total pressured Allen 26 times, with Chris Jones having 8 of those. That led the team, and then he had 6 hurries and a win percentage of 33%. He is a monster and one of the best players in the NFL for a reason. Then I've got to give credit to the Chiefs' O-line as well. Jawan Taylor allowed 3 pressures. That did lead the room, but Creed Humphrey and Joe Thuney each allowed 0 pressures. Wow. So hats off to Joe Thuney for holding it down on the left side, where he's ultimately playing out of position at the left tackle spot. Then, of course, Nico Remigio had an incredible 41-yard punt return. Meanwhile, Harrison Butker accounted for 6 of the Chiefs' points, 3 extra points, and the 35-yard field goal in the fourth quarter that ultimately helped KC get the win. Butker, by the way, has never missed a postseason field goal in the fourth quarter or overtime in his entire NFL career. So he's 11 for 11 in those situations and deserves a lot of credit for the role he's played. All in all, a ton of people and players deserve credit for this dynastic run and this impressive win against the Bills. Kelce didn't have a big day numbers-wise. They did a good job of taking him away, but Mahomes found just enough other players to make plays happen. And then, of course, Kelce had that crucial block for the Mahomes rushing touchdown. Pacheco and Pirine also made crucial first down catches on the final drive to ice the game. And then I can't forget to credit Andy Reid / Nagy and then Coach Spags for having a great game plan on both sides of the ball. And with that win, the Lamar Hunt Trophy remains in Kansas City, and the Chiefs are now headed to New Orleans for Super Bowl 59 to take on the Philadelphia Eagles in a Super Bowl 57 rematch. The Eagles beat the brakes off of the Commanders in the NFC Championship, by the way. I'm sure you know the score. You can see it on the screen. It was a bloodbath. They scored 7. Yes, 7 rushing touchdowns in that game. They will not be an easy opponent, but I did say prior to the AFC Championship that whoever won, whether it was the Chiefs or the Bills, I think they have a very good chance of winning the Super Bowl. So I do think the Chiefs are going to be able to get this done. That's obviously a conversation for a later video. And later video or not, I do think the Chiefs are inevitable. I titled this video, "The Chiefs Run the NFL, and There's Nothing You Can Do About It," because some people think they run it because it's rigged in their favor. Nobody cares about a small market and rigging it in Kansas City's favor, just to be clear. However, what is worth noting is that the Chiefs just find a way to get it done under the brightest of lights. Mahomes had his best game, or one of his best ever games, in terms of success rate, drop back success rate, the highest drop back success rate actually of Mahomes' entire career in this game. When you think you can count the Chiefs out, the offense isn't what it used to be, the turnovers, point differential, all this BS that people try to use, it's false. It falls short. And that's why I feel like the Chiefs in this three-peat is basically destiny. But what do you guys think of this epic win over the Bills? The history that was made at Arrowhead with the crowd going wild. Who were your biggest standouts, and who flew a bit under the radar that maybe I didn't even mention in this recap? I'm sure I've missed some players, so it's no disrespect to them. But let me know who flew under the radar for you and deserves more credit in the comments down below. And until next time, let's go. Let's freaking go. How about those?